Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, attendees. I hope you all are doing good and in best of your health. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all for today's webinar session, which is Reinventing the Automotive Industry. This is in sponsorship with Rockwell Automation and is organized by Manufacturing Today. There is always a room for improvement in the manufacturing. One needs to look at right direction. Today, this demand tastes the accurate products and quicker time to market our products. Before we start, let me just give a quick do's and don'ts for the people who have joined us today. Maybe a lot of you are familiar with this, but it gives me satisfaction if each and everyone will use the possible tabs on their respective screens. The session, we will be having the two summits today, two panel discussions. The first one we are starting with, which is on the operation head panel, which is gaining advantages in the digital realm. Firstly, we will just check it in case looking at today's overwhelming response for this webinar. I would request each one of the attendees to use the tabs in their respective screens for putting up any question for our eminent panelists today. For the polls, we will run few of the polls during the session. We encourage you to cast the poll, cast your preference in the options in the poll, and it will help us to understand the session proceedings in a better way. Apart from in case you find any drop or communication error in the webinar session today, do send us in the chat box. My team in the back end will definitely try to resolve it as soon as possible. Giving you a quick introduction, because I know we have a limited time, I would like to give a quick, on the Manufacturing Today and today's webinar. Manufacturing Today is India's largest read publication. Manufacturing Today is a monthly publication, and it goes close to across 58,000 subscribers on a pan-India basis. Manufacturing Today is completely focused content with a lot of interviews, case studies, new product write-ups, and talks about the new technologies which are happening across the country and overseas. Manufacturing Today is also available in the digital space in our website, manufacturingtodayindia.com, and is also available through our apps in the app stores. Manufacturing Today also has clear focus on the social media. It has got well-connected subscribers on the social media. Before I start, let me just quickly have the introduction of today's first panel, which is the Operation Head panel, Gaining Advantages in the Digital Realm. I would start by introducing today's panelists in the alphabetical order. We have with us today Ms. Aditi Sharma, who is the VP Quality and Manufacturing, HSC, NPRO, CSE, and from Cummins, India. Aditi is responsible for integrating quality at a very touch point across the business value chain. Additionally, she also leads Six Sigma at Cummins. She also has established world-class quality program, AMAZE, accelerated move towards zero defects and processes that have contributed to the significant improvement in quality across the areas of design, suppliers, plant, products, and service. She has extensive expertise in quality integrated manufacturing process, project management, and continuous improvement. Aditi is also associated with the CII Total Productive Maintenance Club. She holds a degree in mechanical engineering from SGSITS at Indore. She pursued her executive masters in business administration from the Indian Institute of Management, IIM Bangalore. A qualified Six Sigma professional, Aditi is also a certified PMP professional. Next panelist, we have Mr. Chulanga Perera, who is the CIO of Daimler India Commercial Vehicles. Mr. Chulanga graduated from New York with honors, dual degree in finance and mathematics with a concentration in corporate law. His career at Daimler started in 2016 with the IT department of Daimler Trucks Asia in Japan, where he was covering topics related to connectivity and telematics. He later went on to lead the metadata management and data lake setup for Mercedes-Benz cars in Germany. Since 2019, Chulanga is recognized as the youngest executive in Daimler globally to serve as the Chief Information Officer for Daimler India commercial vehicles, and he's based out of Chennai. Next, we have Mr. Dilip Swahney, who is the MD Rockwell Automation India. Mr. Swahney is responsible for leading Rockwell Automation India business, developing the markets, creating partnerships, and building a team that serves customers across industries all over the country. He graduated with honors in electrical engineering from IIT Roorkee. He has served over 25 years experience in industrial automation and healthcare technology industry. Next, we have our moderator for the session, Kavan Mukhtyar. Mr. Kavan Mukhtyar has an area of expertise which lies in the automotive strategy and operation consulting. He has advised clients on engagement covering growth strategy, digital transformation, technology roadmaps, product strategy, supply chain operation, organization effectiveness, and leadership. He recently has focused on disruptive automation technologies and emerging business models. Kavan is also a PwC India automotive sector leader and is responsible for shaping the vision and strategy for serving automotive clients. Next, we have Mr. Ravindra Dayal, who has Executive Director Maruti Suzuki India Limited. Mr. Dayal has over 46 years of experience in manufacturing. He is the BE Honours in Mechanical Engineering from BITS Pilani and has worked with Hindustan Motors and BHEL in production, quality assurance. Working with Maruti Suzuki since 1985, he has worked in areas of quality of incoming parts, assurance after sale and service, purchase, manufacturing, engineering, production services, infrastructure projects, and tool and die shop. He trained in Japan, quality manufacturing engineering, and IoT. Mr. Dayal established vendor rating system worldwide purchasing e-procurement in MSIL and has set up the Greenfield Vehicle Assembly project of 7.5 lakh capacity at Gujarat. Before I hand it over to our moderator, Kavan, I would like to run a short video. Let me hand it over to Kavan Mukhtyar to start the panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sanjay. Can you hear me clearly? Okay, yeah. Wonderful.
Yes.
So, very good afternoon to you all the participants, and let me, welcome all the eminent panelists. Also, thank you to Manufacturing Today for inviting me and PwC to be a moderator at this panel. I want to start off with an overview of what I see happening in the automotive industry. As was mentioned, I work quite closely with a lot of the automotive OEMs across the country. And what really is the real business pain point? Because for me, digital is finally all about enabling the business and delivering long-term competitiveness. So if you look at the post-COVID environment, one of the big changes that has happened is, really in the way demand is shaping up. And we see huge amounts of volatility, unpredictability in demand. And this, of course, cascades back into the supply chain. Now, how does a company deal with this? We were in a shutdown situation, and then suddenly now we have things opening up. And while we see two-wheelers industry, seeing some growth in demand, and so is tractor. So, how is it that passenger vehicle and commercial vehicles are going to shape up, for example? How would be the demand for engines? So in this environment, companies need to really plan their operations very, very effectively, and they need to have interventions that can help them make the right decisions. And in my opinion, this is where digital really comes in. But what type of digital interventions, and why should we really go for it? What is the benefit of really implementing digital in the in company environment, in the operations? What are those elements that we can do better with the help of digital? I think clearly quality is one dimension. It's all about delivering world class quality, and how can digital help you? Essentially, in my view, simply put, digital helps you get real time data that can be harnessed into information, which in turn, if you visualize properly and analyze properly, can drive the right decisions. And this helps you become a lot more efficient and deliver the ROI that we are looking for. So I think that's the overview that I wanted to share with all of you. Clearly, sitting as a consultant, we talk with many industry participants, and want to highlight few of the key questions that come up whenever we talk about leveraging digital. One key question is, I know there are probably 25, 30 different interventions that I can go with. I can look at predictive maintenance, I can look at quality improvement, I can look at bringing greater agility in my supply chain planning. What are those use cases that make sense? Where is the ROI good? Where is the ROI a little bit nebulous? And therefore, we should invest probably in understanding what are those elements that really one should prioritize. Again, this again depends a lot on each of the companies and how they intend to play in the market. So that's one key question. What are the technology choices that we have to make? Many of these interventions are now available through platforms that are in the cloud. Is the cloud really secure? Can I trust it for running my digitized factories? So these and many more questions, are in front of all of us as we make choices on leveraging digital in a in factory environment. So we have a very eminent panel. So, I want to, in the interest of time, I want to make sure they have enough time to share their views. So I would first like to, invite Mr. Ravindra Dayal, the Executive Director of Maruti, to share with us, his perspective on digital, and particularly if you look at the passenger vehicle business in India, and the space that Maruti is in. Price competition is one of the key elements, and delivering on time and optimizing inventory is a big challenge. But Mr. Dayal, what do you think? What are some of the top priorities you have in your digital journey in manufacturing operations, Mr. Dayal?
I think we had two important areas. Can you see me?
I can hear you, but
Mr. Dayal, your video is, yeah, it's come now. Thank you.
Okay, so basically we have focused on two things. Now I'm visible. Am I visible now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So the two focus areas we always emphasize: quality and safety. So safety is for the employees as well as the customer, and quality, of course, is for the customer. So these are the two first priorities. Because see, what is happening is that the now the regulations are so strong and strict, and if you don't take care of the employees' safety, you are in trouble. Similarly, this safety part and quality part, there are so many recalls which are happening. We also had to make so many recalls. Recently, also we had in Balino, we had a recall for fuel pump. So unless the traceability of the component is there and you focus on quality and safety, I think return of investments will automatically come, because the cost of recall, the cost of getting repairs are so high that you really can't play with these things. So I think that was our starting point, and always been a point to really focus on quality and safety. So whether it's your sensors or vehicle system, or end-on system. We started the end-on system when even the workers can stop the line if there are some quality problems. Then their torque controls are there, and different stations you have put those sensors so that many times people forget to put components. So there you are able to really find out that something is missing. Then there is a picker system because a lot of volumes have gone up. 1 minute the car rolls up. So how do you take care of that? So you can't depend on the worker as such that he can decide. There are about 800 variants and there are about 15 models. Now 800, and there are different countries you are exporting, and you are making those cars on the single line so that the right component is fitted on a particular vehicle is very important about and of the right quality. So I think these are things which we are focusing on the as far as digital, and then it goes to the vendor side also, just in time delivery, because you can't have everything on the line. It has to be just maybe 1 hour, 2 hours. So even the vendors have to really cope up with those just-in-time systems. So these are some of the things which we have tried to do in our company to take care of the quality. The other thing was on the customer side, that what are the customers' preferences. That's very important. So you should be able to capture that preference, and you should get a seamless experience of all across the dealership and all across the workshops. He should be able to see what is happening to his vehicle. He should be able to. We should be all be able to understand what is that he wants to buy, and we should be able to capture and accordingly produce and work on that product so that we can make those. So I think these are some of the thoughts where we have extensively used digital engineering, whether it's a paint shop or weld shop, assembly shop, engine assembly, all over the place, and the total plant is integrated. The vehicle build sequence, for example, which we follow, the plant is totally integrated in one. So you know that what the order, what the customer wants, and accordingly gets loaded in the weld shop. Similarly, the order also goes to the vendors just 24 hours before that, and then they have to integrate the supply from the vendor side and from our side have to get integrated so that you get the correct quality of the product and safe product at the end. So these are the things which we have tried to incorporate in our production system.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Dayal. But one key question which always comes up when I speak to my other clients as well is, as you're making those decisions on, almost like a roadmap of what you will do in terms of digitizing your factory. One of the key filters is, the ROI and then adoption, because many times you put certain technologies, deploy them in the factory environment, but the adoption is not that great, and therefore you don't really get the right kind of ROI. So would you like to share with us your experience on in this
So
area?
if we don't calculate ROI because there is no ROI for safety and quality,
Right.
because cost of recalls and cost of poor quality and cost of customer leaving you forever is so high that you have to give him a consistent, safe, quality product. And same is the case with the employees. For example, in the weld shop, many places we are using robots where they are not accessible because it is safer for robots to work and do welding than the human beings. And similarly, working in a paint shop, for example, the working environment is a little more difficult. So the robots are there, they give consistent quality and they're safer. So I think more than ROI is the safety and quality, which is important. And in long run, it pays off actually. It's not it's a short term thing you say is ROI, but any recall means you will lose a lot more in product liability and repairs and all that, and everything will just be get paid. So I think most important is quality and safety.
Okay, great. So I think that's a very important statement you made. It's all about serving your customers well, giving
Yeah.
safe products, and keep your employees safe, and productivity, and the right outcomes and ROIs will come by virtue of doing things right.
Similar
So
for vendors also. If they don't give you a quality product, then they will say goodbye to you. So you have to, there are no ROIs in this case. They have to, and see, when you're making every minute you're making one car, it's not possible to really manually manage, micromanage the system. The system has to work, and the working through system is only through digitization. There is no magic. You can't put 100 people for inspection. It should be, the process should be that you don't require an inspection. It should just go up on the and off the line. So that's what it is. Cost of mistakes is very high, so you can't really afford to make any mistakes. This is where the digital engineering helps.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Dayal. If time permits, we'll come back to you. But let me now invite Chulanga from DICV. If you can share with us, your experience, in this journey towards, digitization, and specifically, I think you had exposure overseas, including stints in Japan and Germany. And I think in that context, it would be great to understand what is your view on India, from digitizing the factory standpoint, and what are some of the business priorities that you think make sense in the Indian context when you digitalize your factories? Chulanga.
Yeah. So, Kavan, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you.
So I think it's very important for us to understand that the Indian commercial vehicle market is quite unique. And for us within DICV, we have to make sure that our digital strategy is accustomed to the Indian markets, to the products we put into the Indian markets. So I think what Mr. Dayal also mentioned, there are certain things that you have to sort of take into consideration. So when we look at within DICV, our digital transformation journey, we started at the base where we said we first need to do a baseline assessment to understand our current maturity, then look at moving from digitization to digitalization, and then towards digital transformation. And when it comes to business priorities for DICV, we have realized that certain businesses are within certain maturity levels. And there are areas where we do not compromise. For example, when it comes to products, another area in terms of prioritization is for us cybersecurity. Securing our shop floor has become very, very important for DICV, and I am putting a lot of effort to make sure that we secure that area, because otherwise the exposure in today's day and age is very, very high. So there are certain things we also do not compromise on within our factories in India, and we also look at then for facing the customers, how can we be more customer centric? How can we approach the customers better to understand their needs and put products and digital solutions that will cater to their needs? So it's very important to not standardize anything. What works for countries like Japan and Germany sometimes does not work for a country like India, in my opinion. So at DICV, we have a problem first approach. We look at the problem, then find the best fitting technology that is available to DICV to make sure that that solves the problem at hand. So we within DICV are also not looking at short term. We're looking at also long term. What I mean by is, sometimes you can look at short-term gains, but then forget about sustainability. And that I at least emphasize. Short-term, we look at whatever problems we have at hand, the technologies that are needed. Then long-term, we do proof of concepts to evaluate all the technologies available, so that if in the future there is a problem or a use case that requires a certain technology, then we can adopt that as well. So you have to find that right balance and that equilibrium, especially in a market like India for an organization like DICV.
Right. So moving forward a little bit, and you talked about technology choices. What's the right technology, especially, and my question is more in the manufacturing or in the factory environment. What kind of technology choices you think should be looked at in the Indian context? Because we have a flourishing set of startups as well, and a very vibrant startup ecosystem that offers solutions in digital. And then, of course, there are established players in the market as well. what is your view on the technology platform, and how do you really build an ecosystem? If you can share your experience in that context, it will be fantastic.
Yeah. So I think, Kavan, in the beginning, you touched upon cloud as well. So there's a very big debate about whether we do on-prem, whether we go to cloud, or whether we have a hybrid solution. And for us as DICV, when it comes to our factory, and with Industry 4.0 really flourishing, we are collecting petabytes and petabytes of just IoT data. So having to foresee that this could, in the long run, be a major investment we have to make, we have to, at the beginning itself, get it right. What I mean by get it right is make sure that we understand the technology needs and have the platforms ready, the hybrid cloud, the tool stack, the governance models, everything in place before we bring in the technology. When it comes to technologies as such, we are heavily investing in evaluating in DICV, additive, that is in 3D printing, digital twin, to make sure that, you know, we simulate a lot better. Of course, condition monitoring is another area where we're looking at. And now, given this pandemic, we are also evaluating AGVs, right? So when it comes to the technology spectrum for DICV, it's vast. But what is also very important for us at DICV is the interlink between manufacturing with your supply chain, your production forecasts, your sales forecast. This whole ecosystem has to come into play for us. So we've started one step at a time. So we knocked off the smaller wins, which is doing our process automation, making sure that our workforce is digitally enabled. Because we touched upon sustainability earlier, and for me and DICV, we want to make sure that the ROI as well as the benefits and the technology is adopted best when your workforce is enabled and trained. Otherwise, you can throw all the technology you want, it will never be adopted. So we have decided that at DICV, we start training, we reskill our people, and then bring in the technology in a stepwise approach to make maximum returns on our investment.
Okay, wonderful. I think that's a great point. I mean, finally, you know, you may have the best technology, but if your people cannot leverage them, they are not well trained enough, then you don't get the right kind of outcome. So we'll hopefully come back to you with some questions, Chulanga. So let me now move on to Aditi. May I please invite you to share your perspective, especially Aditi, you've done a lot of work in the area of quality. So if you can share with us some specific use cases where you may have used, you know, digital interventions to up the, you know, level of quality, and, you know, your experiences thereof would be great to hear. Aditi, over to you.
So, thank you for posing that question to me. Even before the pandemic, we have been constantly working. Let me just bring everybody to the table as to what I deal with. So I deal with the commercial truck market, engines, and the components, which is the fast moving product line for us. So we make engines, we make turbos, after treatments, fuel systems. And then I also have another line of business which makes engines up to 95 liters. We make gensets, and we support Navy, Army, we support railways. So, you know, it's a vast, and mines. So it's a vast customer base. It's not just one line of business where any solution which we come up with or the expectation of customer which we have, it is like varied. It's absolutely varied. Like for mining, they are not bothered whether your engine works or not. They just need the uptime. In the commercial truck market, they need their fleets moving. They are very, very concerned about the high oil consumption, right? Where is the oil consumption? What is the longevity of the product? So when before pandemic, we have been constantly looking at how we get a supplier base onto the same level of quality which customer expects from us, because finally we are only the integrators. We get all the parts from our supplier, and India in that particular facet, if you see, is way behind in terms of technology. So even to get the real-time data, we started requesting our suppliers to get into the online SPC, statistical process control. And that's the most basic thing, right? That I have my key measuring metrics, data points in my engine, which impacts the performance of engine, which is actually manufactured by my supplier. So the holistic approach towards getting the information from the base level to see how my product then performs at my customer end is something what we drove as a first journey towards digitization, not even digitalization.
So we'll wait for her to get back. So maybe in the interest of time, may I request you, Dilip? Of course, you are a key solution provider in this space, Rockwell, and you've done lots of projects both here as well as globally. What are some of the trends that you see in this space, especially from a automotive industry standpoint? What are some of those catalysts which make automotive companies jump onto the digitization journey?
Sure. Thanks a lot, Kavan, and thanks also to Manufacturing Today. Listen, it's a great panel. Honor to be a part of this. Kavan, as a solution provider, that we serve a number of industries, but really no prizes for guessing right. Automotive forever has been amongst the earliest adopters of new technology. Forever for the longest time, and it's probably because it's if not the most competitive industry, amongst the most competitive industries for sure. So innovation is absolutely vital. You've already heard comments from all the panelists so far today that kind of like point in that direction. So it's competitiveness. It's all the things we heard from Mr. Dayal and other speakers around quality, safety aspects, and they're really pushing the envelope, right? Now, when you bring it in the context of the Indian auto sector, right, a couple of different dynamics are playing out. I'm not even going all the way to the pandemic impact, right? Half the manufacturing GDP in one way or another depends on automotive industry, right? Several millions jobs, that are being supported by this industry. So, on the one hand, the sector forever has been under a lot of cost pressures, but also as you try and bring in the competing sometimes requirements from a quality perspective, and the third dimension is the consumer preferences. They're changing at such a pace, right? When you try and solve this question, this equation, you have to almost reimagine automotive manufacturing in this whole digital era, right? And that's the best way that I would like to put it. And all of our customer partners that we work with, in the brand owner space for sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So, I would also like to point out that, there are regulatory factors, we heard from other panelists, right? So, there's increasingly greater pressure on genealogy, track and trace, right? So, in short, there's a very high degree of complexity in this whole game of automotive manufacturing, right? Bring it in the context of India, probably one of the most competitive, automotive marketplaces, right? You need to almost certainly have an unprecedented level of visibility and transparency into your organization and across your supply chain, right? If you have to achieve all of that, you have to embrace all of these new technologies. But what you have to be very cautious of, that you cannot put the cart before the horse. What I mean by that is, technology cannot be an end unto itself. Technology is means to an end, and the end is a better business outcome. So you have to be very acutely aware of what are these outcomes that you're trying to drive towards. And there's a vast array of these outcomes. We can talk about the use cases, but eventually what we are finding, our customers craving for, is having an ability to anticipate equipment failures. So, rather than being faced with an, unexpected downtime, or having a better predictability, right? or how do you reduce your operating costs, be it around electricity or other consumables, right? Through the optimization of your utilities area, or how do you bring about a much more safer operating environment for your employees? How do you embed greater safety into the product itself, right? So you have to begin from what is the end outcome you're trying to drive towards, and then solve the equation backwards, reimagine the processes, and digital technologies are enabling you to do that in a manner that is unprecedented. So I hope that helps, Kavan.
Yeah, thanks a lot. But how does Rockwell contribute in this journey? Maybe if you can take a few minutes. And what's been your experience in India? I mean, especially in terms of levels of maturity of how we are adopting technology and taking it to the next level.
Sure. Thanks, Kavan. So let me take the first question first, which is, what are we doing in India, right? We see ourselves as playing a very important role in the digital transformation journeys of our customers. And that's not just as a technology provider. We see that more as a, if you want to call it, as a trusted advisor, simply because, it's a transformative commitment, that an end user is making. And you have to possess relevant domain expertise, and you have to have that business-oriented thought process. So, how we help the end users, is a number of things, right? We're building out, customer-facing domain expert organizations, just to pick one example, right? A lot of investment that we're putting in globally, and are putting it, here in India, right? Which is all targeted on bringing the technology stack, if you will, bringing it to life around the use cases, which deliver this value that I alluded to, and the technologies are, the full array of technologies, analytics, IoT, AR, VR, et cetera, right? So we absolutely anticipate, an early stage engagement, with the customers, and sometimes it's going all the way back through consulting stages, right? Engaging the full set of stakeholders, throughout the design stage onto implementation, and then staying engaged through the life cycle. Chulanga made a very important comment, say, around cybersecurity. You may have the best systems deployed, but when you did that 5-7 years ago, the thought process around cybersecurity wasn't as mature in organizations as it needs to be now, right? So we're building out those capabilities to support users here in India. And if I can take a minute more, Kavan, what I would also like to bring in here at a very different level, right? In a manner of speaking, we are eating our own dog food. What I mean by that is not many people recognize that we are a manufacturer ourselves. So many of the challenges that we've heard, the brand owners like Maruti talk about, it's exactly the same set of challenges that we experience in our own manufacturing, right? And what we've been doing is we've been deploying many of these technologies to transform our own manufacturing, and we've been on this journey for the last 8 to 10 years, right? The results have been quite nice. It gives us a very unique standpoint to learn through our own experiences, and it gives us a more richer perspective to come back and engage with the customers, right? I'll be happy to share, if time permits, some of our own experiences, but each one of these things, if you have an outcome-oriented headset, you are able to almost always impact your bottom line parameters, right? So, I don't know if I have time, but, I'll be happy to talk about what our experience has been, engaging with the Indian customers. But, Kavan, I don't know if we have that kind of time available.
Sure. Let me come back. Aditi, are you back? Would you like to complete your point? We are almost at
Yes.
10 now, so I'm conscious of time. But yeah, Aditi, over to you, please.
So what I was saying, that those were the things which we were doing with our customers, but pandemic has taught us new things about where we can utilize digitization or automation. I have supplier quality as a portfolio with me, and we have to do all the PPAPs before we launch the product. We were in the middle of launching BS6, and some of the PPAPs were yet to be completed, and this pandemic started. And that's where this all understanding of people using, a very frugal way of doing it in the beginning, that people were on the shop floor with their FaceTime and still doing the, kind of work which they do otherwise face to face to complete every single task. And that has taught us that, you do not really need to be physically there, as long as you are able to see real time and you can measure real time from wherever you are sitting virtually, you will still be achieving the same results, more productive and more innovative. So that was one learning we had. The other learning we had was, we also have emission compliance requirement by date, right? So before June 30th, we have to comply to the emission norms for the genset market. And in this, we could not send the material from one place to other place. We also have the test cells in our premises, and with the help of AI, we could actually do that testing virtually. We tested the engines in our test cell, which has been, observed by AI through a Zoom meeting, and we could do that. So these are few learnings. These are the real came out of this is the opportunity which came out in disguise in this testing time, where we realized that really we could save so much of time of transportation and damages through due to logistic by actually making everybody be available virtually. And that is where we will be spending lots of time now, trying to figure out where human intervention is not required, but we can gain more productivity, more innovative ways of doing things, less physical. I want to add one more thing. Initially, we were using cobots, which is collaborative robots, more from the point of view of intricate work which could not be done by human, right? And we have many chances of creating defects because people cannot reach to those places. So we have been using those collaborative robot hands. Now we have realized that we can also use cobots for maintaining the social distancing. Wherever the manufacturing doesn't allow me to maintain a more than 6 feet distance, that's where we can use cobots. So I think when we are in testing times, these technologies become more and more right on our face as a solution for the next generation for us to drive quality and safety. And these are all the use cases I'm talking about. We're doing now in Cummins.
Thanks so much, Aditi. I think it was very interesting the way you talked about the pandemic and linked it back with the use cases. So I think we are a little bit behind schedule. So I'll be guided by you, Sanjay. There are a few questions I see on the chat panel. Would you want to take them right now, or how do you want to go?
Yes, Kavan. Thank you. Thank you. We'll just take few of the questions. I could see there are many questions for the panelists today, but we will take a couple of them. Can I get in Hafiz to ask the questions, please?
We have first question, which for Mr. Dayal. What are the challenges of implementing Industry 4.0? Mr. Dayal, if you can share your perspective.
Mr. Dayal, can you unmute yourself, please?
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the biggest challenge is for us, for everybody, is to have the right technology, and it should be relevant. It should be futuristic, and it should be able to move ahead of times. And it shouldn't happen that you have borrowed some you have used some technology, and after 3-4 years it becomes obsolete. So it's very, very important that the technology is relevant and futuristic. The other thing is that it should also be gel with your partner, with your mother plant, with your suppliers, vendors, because they need to co-work with each other. And if they are not able to work together and they have everybody a different technology, and then it's a challenge. The other thing is that training of the manpower, because initially it's tough how to maintain, how to really train them, skill sets improvement. They need to know what are the new technologies. And it has happened many times that we went for a change and then we found we got stuck up. And when we are working on a plant which is running and which is running at least 2 to 3 shifts, then how to really migrate from one technology to another technology, that becomes another challenge. And you need to work in night shifts, you need to work on holidays. And then you have to see that when you switch over, it doesn't really create problems, because 1 minute failure means one vehicle is lost. And it did happen once, maybe 10 years back or so, that we were setting up a new assembly line and then it didn't work for 7 to 8 hours. So these are the challenges which one faces, that manpower, then the compatibility of the technology. It should be futuristic, it should not become totally obsolete, and it should be reliable. That's the thing, my view on this.
Mr. Swahney, if you want to add from a technology compatibility, which Mr. Dayal, if somebody faces a challenge, how one would deal with it.
Just take myself off mute. Yeah. So, you're absolutely right, because technology is, we at once want to take advantage of new innovations in technology, but at the same time, you have to recognize that there's a vast installed base of equipments that are out there. So increasingly, manufacturers, automation suppliers like us are becoming very mindful of the fact that there's a vast array of installed devices. So we're working at various levels. We're working at the level of connectivity. We're working on the other end of the spectrum. We are working at the level of using virtualization as a way to ensure that those technologies which need not be supported today on contemporary platforms can still continue to run without impacting the existing plant operations. So there are a whole lot of thought processes that are going in, which are all targeted towards giving a continued operation, to manufacturers, and B, making sure there's least disruption, right? So the whole area of connectivity and ubiquitous connectivity is something which we are investing a lot of time, energy, and effort in, right? So you should be able to bring as much of your real life, the endpoint devices, so to say, where data actually is born into the system, so that you can actually then track the live data, which gives you all the insights that you need, right? So compatibility is absolutely an area to be focused on. Yeah.
If time permits, in short, if Mr. Perera, if you would like to answer, what are the risks that cause to occur in the supply chain due to implementation of Industry 4.0 and its effect and risk on supply chain performance?
See, Hafiz, there are multiple risks in my opinion. But for me, the biggest risk is when we do not understand the digital maturity of our suppliers. If we start providing, or if we start only focusing on ourselves, and I talk about DICV, and don't focus on how digitally mature our suppliers are, then you have a one-dimensional solution. And that could be a major risk because it doesn't work. I'll use an example of just in sequence maybe, right? Just from our point of view, or just for an OEM, it doesn't make sense to digitally ramp up when your supply chain is not there yet. So I think that's a major risk. So we have to make sure that we understand their capabilities, their maturity, look at ourselves and grow together. This is where I firmly believe that even for DICV or the Indian manufacturing segment, partnering together and co-creating becomes very, very pivotal. One, investments are very tight. There are many, many risks, and co-creation can only help, and it can be a win-win situation for everybody. So I think that's one way to mitigate that risk, if I can add.
Thank you. I think we have a lot of questions, but I think, for the interest of time, I think we will take that offline. Over to you, Sanjay.
Yeah, thank you, Hafiz. I think we conclude this first panel discussion, and I would like to thank Mr. Ravindra Dayal, Ms. Aditi Sharma, Mr. Chulanga Perera, Mr. Dilip Swahney, and our moderator for this session, Mr. Kavan Mukhtyar. I think he did his best to get most discussion out from today's session. Some of the pertinent questions which he asked for the panelists. And thank you all. Thank you for taking your time for today. But I'll still ask you to be online because we have a lot more coming up. I will now introduce our presenter for today. So we have Mr. Sabyasachi Goswami, who is the Connected Service Commercial Leader, Asia Pacific for Rockwell Automation India. And the topic which he is taking today is business continuity with connected services. Sabyasachi, as fondly is called Sabi, is responsible for managing AP sales growth for connecting service suite or business that includes development and management of robust, secure, and scalable information infrastructure, including virtualization, computing, end-to-end cyber security, managed service, and safety. Sabi joined Rockwell Automation in 2019. Prior to joining Rockwell, he had over 15 years of experience in successfully developing advanced data analytics software solution business in multiple countries in Asia. Analytics software solution business in multiple countries in Asia. Sabi was the area sales manager for the MKS Instruments and Sartorius Stadium Biotech managing data analytics business in Asia. Sabi is a Bachelor of Technology in Electronics and Communication Engineering from National Institute of Technology, Warangal. Over to you, Sabi.
Good afternoon, everybody. We see you safe and good health under the current situations. My name is Sabi Goswami. My topic is business continuity with connected services, and I have about 10 minutes to run a few slides and give you a kind of a summarized version of the story. What we do in connected services, what problems we solve. So it's manufacturing industries. And again, I'm referring to a few of the gentlemen who spoke before, correct? We talk about disruptions. So COVID-19 is causing disruptions. And again, the regular disruptions we think about is cybersecurity. Again, Perera talked about cybersecurity. We also talked about the unscheduled downtime, right? So the question is, how do you solve them? And again, being remote, right? So cybersecurity, it's a major concern today. The ICS environment is getting heavily attacked. Frequency have been increased. So from our estimations, more than 50% of the industrial manufacturers have faced certain breaches on cybersecurity in ICS environment, costing about $11 billion or $12 billion, right? The question is, what's the root cause behind it? The manufacturing industries, they're not able to solve this problem because it's poor inventory or lack of visibility, correct? If we do not know what we have, right, it's very difficult to secure them. And also the second reason is that, there are a lot of loose ends or legacy unpatched infrastructure. We inherited a lot of those designs where security was not the major principle for designing them. So we inherited them, got to handle that situations, right? So coupled with the lack of poor understanding of the cybersecurity, right, in the OT environment. So those are the main challenges. If I look into the unscheduled downtime, and there are some numbers here, I focus on there. Of course, there's a lot of money, but what we have observed, we take a lot of time to respond to it. We take about 76% of the time before even start fixing it. Some goes in guessing it, some goes in finding root cause, and then once we find the root cause, majority is finding the right skill set. Now remember, the OT environment, production environment, is a mix of assets, IT assets, OT assets, software, hardware. They evolve over a period in time, they work together, and they keep the clock ticking, correct? When something goes wrong, right, finding out the skill set, combinations of all different things is a challenge. So if I just combine the different problems, challenges we have in the production environment for the continuity, is the skills gap, whether cybersecurity, whether downtime, managing different things, aging infrastructure, as I said, the brownfield, we inherit them by design, active threat landscape, poor OT network segmentations, poor visibility, IT-OT convergence. Gentlemen before spoke about the need for digitalizations. That means IT and OT convergence. IT at one side, OT merging together. Regulatory compliance, regulatory expectations are evolving. Cybersecurity framework is evolving. Correct, standards are evolving. And then operational efficiencies. I have too many suppliers probably to fix a problem, right? I have too many numbers to call, correct? Probably I do not have the right tools to handle them. So how do we bring in those efficiencies, okay? So these are a few problem statements. So what do we do in Rockwell? And Dilip briefly spoke about it, right? We call it OT infrastructure best practices. And we put together a few things, right? And we have created an ecosystem with partners. We are great in PLCs and SCADA, correct? But then we partnered with Microsoft, we partnered with Cisco, we partnered with Clarity, we partnered with Symantec, and created an environment. We have tested them, we have proven them, and then we are rolling out globally, correct? What are they? So on the right-hand side, they are the pillars of these connected services. Talks about the network, the segmentations of the network, IDMCs, virtualized computing, end-to-end cybersecurities, digital install base, again, driving the visibility of your assets, right? IT and OT assets. And finally, managing them, right? They're managing the life cycle of the thing. I think someone asked, how do you manage, the investment that you make today going to stay, right? Of course, the investment that you make going to stay if you also know how to manage them, the life cycle, the IT and OT assets. If you think IT assets, they have one kind of life cycle, like 3 to 5 years, right? OT assets live longer, right? So you got to manage, and the moment they're going in towards end of the life cycle, they're much more vulnerable, correct? So I'm just looking to my time here. Yeah. So using these pillars, what we do, we build a robust, secure, scalable OT information infrastructure. That means we build the network infrastructure, we protect and maintain the infrastructure using our 24/7 remote monitoring centers across the globe, bringing consistency across. It doesn't matter whether you have one site or you have 60 sites across the globe, like the largest pharmaceutical company, our customers. Then once you have built this infrastructure, then you manage your asset and system performances, correct? So put together is connected services suite that we bring in. And this is the challenge you overcome. The IT on the right-hand side, I have the production environment. They are in different layers. On the left-hand side is my IT environment, that's enterprise. And then IT and OT is getting merged, right? And we try to kind of overcome these challenges and make sure you focus on your core. Talking about cybersecurity, right? This is a NIST framework. As per the NIST framework, right? It's basically identify, protect, detect, and respond and recover. We split them into 3: before, during, and after. And using the different kinds of assets, design, implements, services, also in a good, better, best models, right? We have different kind of services and tools to understand your current state. Understand where you are, and basically we try to help you wherever you are, right? And once we understand the gap, then we can make a plan, correct? And here we are talking about real-time threat detection systems, right? Whereby if we have the signature of your good behavior in production environment, there's communications, right? And if it's in real time, I'd be able to detect in real time what are the deviations with respect to the signature I have behaved. At the same time, I could let that signature evolve over a period in time based on the actions I'm taking on those threats that we have. Plus, we have the backup and recovery solutions, etc. So what my point is here, that cybersecurity is a proactive, holistic approach. We have something called defense in depth. No single tool, technology, hardware, software, methodology cannot ensure 100% cyber secure program. It's a continuous, that's one of the points that I wanted to make over here. Our role in Rockwell, we act as a strategic advisor, which means that we can, I think Perera Bidfree talked about the necessity of having a long-term and short-term. So long-term here means a framework, right? A standard. Short-term meaning your immediate business impact. What are the consequences? And those immediate urgencies are unique to each and every one. So you got to create a bespoke roadmap. So our goal here as a strategic advisor to understand your pain, understand your brownfield, understand your monetary capabilities and flexibilities, right? Create a roadmap, right? Through our assessment services, understand the gap that you have and create a plan. As a practitioner, like a doctor, then we do prescriptions, we mitigate those plans, we bring in our expertise of the network experts or cybersecurity experts, solve those problems. As a trusted supplier, we ourselves, Dilip mentioned about it, we are manufacturers. We have more than 15 global manufacturing locations. The office I sit, 4th floor, 5th floor is manufacturing. We have our own security office. We have our own CISO. Each and every product or aspect of security services, right? We follow standards. We follow IEC 62443, which is equivalent to ISO 27001, right? As a partner, I mentioned, we partnered with the best of the best in the world. That's Microsoft, that's Cisco, that's Clarity, that's Symantec. And then we integrate those technologies deep inside in different layers from level 0 to level 3 or 4, right? And supply that to you and then manage them on your behalf. Here, about how do you create a roadmap, right? One side is the risk reduction, other side is how much control you have on the entire process, right? So this is a kind of a way that we try to build a roadmap unique to each and every customers. Now I'm getting into a bit of the quick services under the current pandemic. And here, Tech Connect is our regular services. We have integrated an augmented reality technology, as you understand. And using augmented reality under the current COVID-19, we are able to do a lot of those services like starting up a new machine, right? Or factory acceptance test, et cetera, which otherwise would require a lot of physical presence, and we become much more efficient. Then OT managed services, that's where I said that, managing the environment, right? Environment is a combination of your applications knowledge, your network, right? Your data center, virtualized environment, your firewall, your threats, right? What we do as a managed services, this is proactive, 24/7, 365, and it's uniform across the globe. It doesn't matter you're in India or even US or even Singapore, right? We mix and match, we combine, and then we try to drive an outcome. This could be data integrity. This could be your kind of the breakdown, right, and systems like that. So we drive an outcome combining these different sources, services. Digital install base. This is a service that lead to this digital footprint, right? Helps us to understand what's your life cycle. You get a single version of truth of your install base, right? You got a control on the life cycle status, right? You got a control on your obsolescence risk and also recommendations for critical spares, right? It helps you to reduce your MRO spend on the one side. On the other hand, have a control that contributes to your cybersecurity threats. As I said, the assets are the critical. Understanding and knowing them is very important. So you have a visibility, one single visibility, meaning across the enterprise. Using the security posture survey, right? This is also a service. It's kind of a 2 to 3 weeks of service. This could be done remotely as well. We try to estimate your current hygiene. We give a numerical number, unbiased number, and it's vendor agnostic offering that you have. And then you try to find, what are the key findings and gaps. And this is a very good start for somebody who's looking to see where am I, and then what kind of actions I should take, right? So we have the security posture survey. Secure remote access. As we are under the COVID-19 working remotely, more and more access has been given to my environment, right? I would like to make sure each and every communication that is happening in my environment, outside or inside, they're all in a framework, security framework. So we bring in the secure remote access framework there. Last but not the least, one of the gentleman mentioned about the workforce development. Okay, I have the technologies, but what about using them, right? So we have two ways of solving this workforce development. One, as I said, the managed services. That means we augment your capabilities, right, which you do not know. The second thing is that training your skill sets. So we have about 200 odd programs. What do? We do an evaluation again, a skill-based evaluation, as you see here. We assess, then we roll out a program. And these programs could be a combinations of e-learning programs, could be your face-to-face program. This could be based on simulator kits. It all depends on which categories you get into, right? Then we measure meaning we create a unique scorecard of your training. And then we let you know what was before and after and get into an action plan or continuous improvement plan. Yeah, so I think that was end of my session. And Dilip also mentioned over here, we follow design, build, sustain, and improve. Using this framework, we try to execute our projects. Okay? With that, I conclude my sessions, and I think the next there will be some polling questions. So if you could turn on the polling question, please. So here the question is 30 seconds is the answer time here. Within 30 seconds, you've got to answer. Are you facing any challenges with security in the production environment or any security breaches in the past? You got to respond within 30 seconds. Yeah, so 50% of the audience here says no breaches, but again, are you aware of the consequences, right? So that's where the question comes. We go to the second question. 20% says yes. So next question, will you be interested in security process survey for your production environment? So 20% of 150, that's about 30 people, 30 said yes, right? So then the question is, would you be interested in security process survey? Yes, no, or I do not know. The survey helps you to understand where you are and helps you to understand the gaps that you have and create a kind of a immediate roadmap. The next question. I think the results would come before. Yes, let us discuss more. 50% no, not my concern, and 30% says I find somebody else. Do you have a network architecture? Network has a contribution to your security threats. So do you have a network architecture of your production environment based on industrial standards? So first one is yes, but not as per standard. Second one is yes, following standard. Third one is no. Yeah, so 50% yes, but not following standards. This is the last question, I think. Would you be interested in creating an asset inventory for better visibility and control of your automation environment? Yes, no. And then last one is, I don't know. Okay. Yes, 50%, more than 50% says yes. Visibility is key. Yeah. So thank you very much for your time. I pass it over to the next person.
Hi, Sabyasachi. Thank you very much. This is much insightful. If I can take one question, you talk about security posture survey. It can be done on remotely, and also if you can also highlight on OT engineers and operators are not trained on or traditionally focused on cybersecurity. How can this can be helped from Rockwell perspective?
Very good question. So yeah, security posture survey could be done remotely. We could deliver that, and then turnaround time is about 3 weeks of time. And result is that you get your hygiene score, you understand the gap, you know where you stand, and create a roadmap moving forward. The second question I think is more related to the skill sets gap. It's a very good question. You might have a lot of things, but you don't know how to use them, right? And I said two things. One is we can bring in our 24/7, 365 proactive remote monitoring center, no matter where you are, how big you are, whether India or US, bringing the consistency in our SLAs based delivery systems. The second one, I talked about the workforce development program, where we have an active training department creating those e-learning programs based on the current skill set. So we have a tool by which we assess the current skill sets and design the program, the workforce development program, training program, whether it's remote, e-learning, or face-to-face or simulator based.
Thank you, Sabyasachi. I think your presentation was really an eye-opener for the people who are looking to build up their secured infrastructure when it comes to automation. I think people must have a lot of questions for you in the days to come. And thank you very much once again for your time. I'll hand it over to Hafiz for introducing the second panel,
Thank you.
which is again quite interesting as our first panel, which is on the plant head, moving with the digital footprints. So Hafiz, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sanjay. Meanwhile, people, when they set up, I will just couple of lines, if I can say, on the topic, which is moving with the digital footprint. Today, we are witnessing a highly challenging disruption. On one hand, manufacturing plants are restarting, while on the other are unsure about demand picking or soon or later. How are manufacturing companies coping with the challenging scenario? Choosing the right technology and the right digital strategy remains an area of concern. Here we are, our expert, to talk on this topic. So we have, starting with the alphabet, we have Mr. Aditya Chaudhary. He's also the moderator for today. So Aditya Chaudhary is industry leader, Automotive, Rockwell Automation. Aditya leads the automotive vertical at Rockwell Automation. In his role, he works with companies to understand the potential value of digitalization and automation across their manufacturing value chain and help them to create a smooth development roadmap. He has over 17 years of experience in evangelizing technology solution for manufacturing industry. We have our second panel member, Mr. Ajit Deshpande, who is the country IT country head Information Technology India and Southeast Asia for Asia Group. He is BE Mechanical and MBA in Marketing. He has over 24 years of experience, worked with companies like Tata, with a special division which is Dayal Manufacturing, and as head IT for 12 years. He's in Forussia for last 3 years as head of IT. Worked on SAP, CRM, PLM, and experience with digitalization of shop firm, auto and aerospace part development. Our next panel member is Mr. Raju B. Ketkele. He's the Deputy Managing Director, Toyota Kirloskar Motor. Mr. Ketkele is an industry veteran with rich experience of 28 years in various roles. He started his Toyota Kirloskar Motor journey in 1998. In addition to his present role as Deputy Managing Director, handling the manufacturing functions at Toyota Kirloskar Motor. Additionally, he's also been very active in environmental directory, where he is responsible for driving Toyota environmental challenges to make sustainable operation like CO2 reduction, water conservation across plant and value chain. We have Mr. KG Shinoy, who is Senior Vice President, Manufacturing Operation, Automotive Division, Mahindra and Mahindra. Mr. Shinoy is Senior Vice President, Manufacturing Operation, Automotive Division, Mahindra and Mahindra in Mumbai, where he is responsible for running 8 large manufacturing plants. His responsibility includes manufacturing plant quality, central manufacturing engineering, plant engineering, central production planning, control, supply chain management, project and industrial relations. He has been instrumental in driving innovation, technology and digital initiative in manufacturing. He plays a crucial role today in helping plant drive Industry 4.0, moving from to Industry 4.2 to smart manufacturing. We have Mr. Yashpal Sardana, who's head of Central Business Excellence, Hero Motocorp, head of manufacturing, Nimrana plant. Mr. Sardana has diverse experience of close to 3 decades in industry and over 30 years in Hero Motocorp. Currently, he is heading 2 vital roles at Hero Motocorp. Head of Central Excellence, and Head of Manufacturing. He also serves a private role of organization in production quality, project supply quality assurance and business excellence areas in Hero Motocorp, Haridwar. Dehra Nirmana, the state-of-the-art garden factory. He has set new benchmark in manufacturing practices in integrating TPM, TQM, TSP, JIT manufacturing at Hero Motocorp. With this, I would request Aditya to start with the panel discussion. Over to you, Aditya.
Thanks, Hafiz. And first of all, a warm welcome to all our panelists on this discussion today. Now, before I begin, I must talk about the extent to which digitalization has penetrated into the manufacturing sector, and what could be a better example that we are having this virtual automotive conference on Zoom, and so many people are able to follow such visionary leaders at a time. Well, moving forward, the panel discussion before this, spoke about the driving factors behind digitalization. And what came out clearly from that discussion was that quality, compliance, and employee safety are some of the top drivers for digitalization. Now, all of you are hands-on into manufacturing, and in this panel, we would want to have a cockpit view of how digitalization is impacting the manufacturing at the shop floor level, and understand that what should other companies who are aspiring to get into this area should do to digitalize their operations. Well, to start the discussion, I would want to start with Mr. Ketkale. Mr. Ketkale, what I would want to understand from you is that how is digitalization and smart solution really transforming the automotive manufacturing at the shop floor level, and what you at Toyota Kirloskar are seeing as this wave of change is happening.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for opportunity. Yeah, I am sure being a panelist here. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll divide into two parts. Okay, one is of course recently, right now we are fighting COVID. So how we are managing currently, I think that portion I'll just one pillar. And second pillar, now as a digitalization in manufacturing, I'll take as the second pillar, especially IoT based activity. So as you know, after lockdown, especially after one and a half month lockdown, we wanted to restart the operation, and especially manufacturing, where frankly, not so much, especially our organization, not so much familiar with the digitalization, activity. But the overnight, suddenly we have to move to the digitalization. So fortunately, our company, we started the teams, we established the teams infrastructure, teams Microsoft, and through this. First, when we were in lockdown time, I had almost 1,500 supervisors and more than 500 managers. So when we started the restart operation, we made the restart manual when we were in home. We trained our all supervisors when we were in home through the teams. So it is a very fantastic experience for everybody, because from my home I addressed more than 600, 700 people, because we wanted to restart, and it was a very serious issue. So we established the golden rules and all the from the home to company to home back, everything we know, how to manage the social distancing, how to follow all the rules in the processes, outside the process, outside the company. So this we established, and when we 26th May we started the operation. Again, of course, based on this training, we started all workmen, also around 5,000 people we trained, and then we started the operation, both the shift. But again, one more problem which we faced, even when we go to company, again, social distancing, we cannot have the large meeting, either we cannot meeting. We also, in the plant also, we do even we are seeing each other, we do the teams meeting now.
Right.
I think this is fantastic. So, see, we absolutely, we don't meet each other, but we keep communicating. So I think this is something very, I can see the revolution I can see in the digital platform utilization, especially manufacturing. Another portion, there is a very strong limitation on the number of people coming to the company, especially engineering and planning people. So quickly with the IT support, we established the infrastructure and network for all the work from home. And today, even in manufacturing, my 30 to 35% people working from the home. So we made some rotation platform, and through that, we are running 2 huge projects, and we could connect through this process. So, and third important point, especially to fight the COVID now. So we don't want to have an infection member or symptomatic patient. Our team members should not come inside the company. So for that, we established very clearly soft, 306 office, software where every member declares. And it's totally digitally. All 5,000 people are declared online, and we quickly we check that everything, and we stop at the gate. If anybody is sick, we take the temperature, we check this declaration, and through this process, right now, though I have 85 infection cases, but all are outside. Not a single case inside the company, and we could run very smoothly our operation. I think this is very clear benefit of digitalization of the total kind of communication and the management, including Japan, and and we are working with the alliance projects where everything we are doing through the digital form. Second point, second pillar is basically, so how to see, basically, I have very clear concept that around 3 years back I started the IoT based activity, and we did around 120 projects in the company. I have different technology partner, Bosch, Infosys, so many are there. So many people are there working with us. So one of the very important aspect what I considered, if my return of investment was very key. So I told, if less than 2 years my return of investment, I will do any project with you. So this is so with this 50% partners left with us, they couldn't join with us actually. So this is, I think, in manufacturing now, just sake of digitalization, there is no meaning. So we should have clearly know whether either I'm improving the productivity, or I'm ensuring my quality, or my maintenance, you are doing the predictive maintenance. So these all things are there. But it's really good to see that almost we completed 100 plus projects now, and especially my second plant is highly digitalized, and that plant is a new plant. So the basic data connecting with the IoT based platform, I think it was very easy for us, and we could complete many projects. And truly we could see that there are more than 60 projects out of this 100 return of investment less than 1 year, especially energy area, maintenance area, and quality area. And then there is some more area, like for example safety, ergonomics area. We use a VR also, virtual, the other platform we are working with the IISc, still on the progress. But my only point is now, of course, digitalization is very important. And connecting with the supply base. This of course we have many softwares which are already applying parts ordering, or this on daily basis is already digitalized. What we are changing is basically little higher end issue, how to utilize the cloud based activity now. I think that area we are right now working. But yeah, as long as it is it is contributing to business, I think it's a fantastic tool, and we should go ahead with this strategy. That's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Very elaborately explained by you, Mr. Ketkale. So moving on. So next, I would like to invite Mr. Shinoy and Mr. Sardana to come into the discussion. So, what I would want to ask you is that, digitalization has been used at various stages of product realization. So just wanted to, get experiences from you on how digitalization can help in reducing the time from concept to market, and how do you see that in manufacturing area, in more focus?
You want me to go first?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Please, yes.
Yeah. First of all, thanks to Manufacturing Today and Rockwell for giving me this opportunity. This point is a little different from manufacturing. It's about product, right? So,
Yes.
I mean, if you look at in automotive industry, I think this particular process of product development has evolved over so many decades, right? It is not that yesterday. So it has been there for 100 years before to now, or maybe 70, 80 years before to now. It has matured over a period of time. As far as the overall process is concerned, the process remains same. So what did digital do? Right? The biggest problem, that vehicle is a very complex product. So usually the problem with the product is that it's very difficult to imagine all the problems and sort out in the first go, right? So the biggest problem industry faced overall was to go back and forth on the designs, right? So every time you change a design, then you have to validate right from the beginning. So the biggest change, I think, was digital for product development. This is not even, connected to Industry 4.0. It started long back. If you see the product development, digital use is very long back, and right from now, as of now, if I have to look at the whole thing, that right from the concept onwards, the digital tools are used, right? When you design a product and you imagine a product, then you can virtually create a product, right? Create a product with for aerodynamics, you can check it for aerodynamics, and you can check it for ergonomics or crash or anything you want to check a product. You can virtually check that product. That is the biggest change which has come right from the beginning. Now I'm talking the concept stage at all. So with that, what has happened is that right from the beginning, your rework of design has drastically come down. Similarly, as you move on, so when you have a detailed product, development stage, there also all the aspects of the vehicle you can check virtually, right? Everything you can check virtually. And in fact, the wonderful thing which I recently experienced is that full vehicle design validation you can do virtually in a room without having produced a single vehicle, right? This is the beauty of this particular thing, and best part I liked was, so my inspectors would go in and check. I'm now talking about at a stage where product is not even there. My inspector is final stage, or the officer in the operations could go and check vehicle for fit and finish before a single vehicle is produced. I think this is a very, very big change, I think, which has come in because of digital space. And you can look at component development. Now there are no 2D drawings, it's all 3D drawings, and it's all even for, what we call it as design for manufacturing. We have digital mock-ups, and we have simulations on the line that you can be very sure about how to assemble any issues on the assembly line, and you can distribute the work content. These are very, very important things, I think, has made a very huge change in terms of lead time. Finally, what it helps is to cut down your going back and forth. That is rework, right?
Right.
You know that physically, if you have to rework something and validate again, it takes months.
True.
So it has cut down your validation time. It has cut down your development time, right? Overall, I'm sure that the digital has created a huge impact on product development. And I must say that what is today and what is, you go back 15 years back and today, the lead time, and of course, along with that cost, there is a huge reduction in overall lead time and cost. It has wonderfully helped the product development. So that's all I think I wanted to share. It's an experience, really experience. And I'm sure that going forward, a lot more things will come and make it much more easier and comfortable for us to go to market, lead times as well as cost. And of course, the product quality. Thanks.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. So leading into the same, question and the argument, I'll just come to Mr. Sardana. So, Mr. Shinoy spoke about, how digital plays a role in product development. From you, I would want to know that how does the whole thing tie into manufacturing? And how do you see the benefit of seamlessly connecting the product development and manufacturing for realization of product?
So first of all, thank you very much to the Rockwell as well as the manufacturing today for giving us the opportunity, so that as a society of the all OEMs and the parts maker, when you are the same platform, is the way we are mutually learning all together the experience from each other. Right. So my experience, I will put your question in a little other way. It's not concept to market. I would say market to concept and concept to market. Mm-hmm. So first, the most important asset today is the capturing the voice of the customer. The Japanese used to call it as a quality function deployment when we say. This all depends upon the understanding the latent need and the stated need that should be available in the form of data. So normally what happens actually when developing a new product, at that time some survey starts and you work upon some data points, and then you convert into the planning and the features, and then you start developing the product. So this lesson helps us to collect the data on a real-time basis and on the long-term basis also. So at any point in time, you can stratify the data available in the system that yes, with the stated needs as well as the customer pain points, everything is available in your data system. So from that, you can pick up its designing the concept first. So from market to then concept, from customer to the concept which should come, and then from concept, as Mr. Shenoy has beautifully explained, that how we use it in the process of development, whereby we can cut down the lead time by 3D printing, design, simulations. Similarly, for the process simulations also, the most important for us as a people in the manufacturing is the cost as in today. One is the delivery time, because today the launch of the product is called yesterday time. It is not tomorrow actually when we launching actually. So we always say it is always necessary, and particularly in the festive seasons actually. So it helps us to cut down the time into the process simulations also. And more important is about the quality parameters. And you say genealogy, if you can decide the genealogy and the quality management since the inception of the concept, since the inception of deciding the tolerances, then you can simulate itself how it will be doing in the your current processes. Your current processes data can help you to design the future process. If you have a data of the almost 5 years for one particular operations about the process capability of your existing equipment, or the process capability which you are looking for, or the tolerances band what you are looking for. So it helps us to simulate the things, and you can design it a better way. You have more predictability in that actually. In the cost front, if you talk about, if you design it in terms of the lower manpower or the optimal manpower, say, it becomes easier to cut down the cost front also. Normally what we do in the conventional way, we first set up a product process, then deploy a manpower, then we will be doing the study for optimization, though with some most parameter and all these things we deploy the things actually. But even though later on we still felt a need that yes, there is certain scope of improvement. Through digitalization, you can cut down this fat or this scope before start of the production at your assembly lines. So this way, the lead time, as is very, very rightly said, lead time from starting of the product conceptualization to the market, it helps a lot actually. And going forward, actually, the data itself will become a power actually. So the power of digitalization is the data availability on the real-time basis. So in the digitalization, say the total setup, if we say this is an engine, then the oil is a data actually. More and more, and the oil is there, the flow of oil is there, no contamination is there, real lubricity is there, you can achieve much more efficiencies and the better way. Important is that data hygiene, data handshake in the system, and data repository. So it really helps. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Saldana, for bringing in this fresh perspective. And as you said, data is the new oil, and that also explains that how the biggest oil company, one of the biggest oil companies in the world, Reliance, is transforming into a data company from an oil company. All right, so moving forward, so we have on the panel Mr. Deshpande. He is from the Foresia's IT department. So I wanted to bring him in now to get his perspective and also understand, how did he help Foresia tide over this, pandemic lockdown situation, and what things he did from his side to ensure that there was some business continuity maintained during this time.
First of all, good afternoon to everyone, and thanks to Rockwell as well as Manufacturing Today for inviting us onto this panel. Before we go into what we did, a few minutes about my organization. I'm representing Foresia, which is a French organization primarily into auto components, interiors, seats, exhaust systems, and digital services. In India, we have 10 plants and 2 R&D setups. So to answer your question, I have twofold answer. One is what we did it for R&D.
Sure.
Roughly around 1,700 users are there in R&D. And when we started discussion in mid of March, we were never, there was not in any industry was prepared to handle such a massive movement of an R&D activity to work from home. And it was the biggest challenge. As Mr. Raju said, team is the really a tool and came at a right point for everyone. that was really a collaborative platform which we have used. We have used a lot of security features based work from home, and we could, within a week, we could transfer our 1700 R&D users working from home. A humongous work done by an infrastructure team, administration team, and our purchase team, because due to security and since we deal into designing and TZAC certified, it was needed that it has to follow all the security protocols. So we have, within 7 days, we have taken somewhere around 700 machines from a lease rent from a market, deployed our own images and handed over to an employee so that they can start working from home. So end-to-end security was maintained. So it's a humongous work. I will say my infra team did to make it happen, along with all my other stakeholders within the organization. And then definitely our digitization process of PLM, file servers, the licensing servers, all those concepts has came up handy. And some which was very difficult to explain it to the management about return on investment on such a large infrastructure. But in this pandemic, it has proved right that it was quickly able to deliver the invoicing part or a sales part for the R&D, and touchwood. Last 120 years, we are running seamlessly for our engineering services at such a large volume. And we are clocking at 85 to 90% efficiency. That 10% is also because of large file size handling and some issues at the bandwidth issues which we face at the end users also. So that's how we managed it, and we connected remotely all our engineering services, and definitely use all the collaborative platforms to connect. And team has helped us a lot. The second side was when the first lockdown ends and the plant were supposed to start, then we had, as Mr. Raju was saying, same principle we have used to train our shop floor supervisors, managers, plant managers about the safety and security part of it, giving assurance back to an employee that when you are coming into the factory, you are coming with a proper safety was a very essential aspect. And we did it. Lot of videos. We have used the Telegram extensively as our broadcasting communication, because not necessarily all the operators and all the supervisors will be connected with the machine. So we try to communicate and make that awareness. And once we started, lot of rules and regulations on safety was there. So we started using Teams for Gamba walk, which is what our manufacturing team needs. That's where the day starts. So we have started with a virtual plant walk. So entire Gamba walk, top 5. Again, this is terminology most of manufacturing guys will be aware. It's about talking about top 5 issues. E-storage, talking about shortages. So all these e-tools which we have quickly enabled, which is not having a cost much, using the features to a greatest extent, made the life simpler. Some of advanced technologies also we have adopted, not in India, but in Thailand. We started using the guided vehicles to move the material from a stop to a finished goods or intermediate storage, because we manufacture exhaust systems and all, which are bulky, needs to be transported. So guided vehicles we have brought in. And for digital dashboards, we were on the MES journey. So those has helped us to make the plant really virtual. And as Mr. Raju was saying, that in the plant also we were, even though we are meeting, we were doing team meetings.
Yeah.
Actually, we did it with everyone. The morning meetings, your critical meetings, all were able to do it through Teams and video, so that it was like a virtual office. And we could maintain the government guidelines of 10%, 15% to reach to a 30%. And the increase was always on the operative side than on the staff side. So these things has worked for Asia in last 120 days. And there are many other digitals, but we need to look at the time part of it. But yes, these are some things which has helped us in making sure that this has not has very worst impact. It has an impact, but not as worst as we thought initially.
Now, thanks for your perspective, Mr. Deshpande. Now, switching gears, I think many of the people on the call today would want to understand from leaders like Mr. Shinoy, Mr. Sardana, and Mr. Ketkale on what would be your suggestion or what would be your approach to companies who want to implement digitalization while the plants are running. So this is like fixing an aircraft engine while the airplane is flying. So what would be your suggestion and approach towards that? So maybe we can start with Mr. Shinoy and then go around the table.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, on a lighter side, I think it is like from the local train we went up to bullet train till 2010, 2012, 2015, and now you are taking a flight. That's the kind of the difference that we have that the technology has brought in. That's why it is Industry 4.0. It's a revolution, right? So coming back to what we believe very strongly is that first of all you have to have your base strong. You can't talk about digital and try and take the benefits if your base is not strong. What I mean by base is on the shop floor, your discipline of operations have to be at the highest level, right? We follow TPM. Before this, I was actually I was handling the manufacturing of farm division. From there, from 1st of April, I have come to auto sector. There, we have reached a level of advanced, certificate which we have got, which is almost the first time in India somebody has got, right? So it's high level of TPM that we follow. That's one pillar. We call it as 3-pillar strategy on which digital has to come. First is TPM at highest level so that your people are involved, your people are well disciplined to operate. And this is one. Second part is lean. You have to have a lean and on the shop floor so that you work efficiently on the shop floor, that there are no hidden issues on the shop floor, right? There is the second part. And the third part is a very important part, which is related to digital, is self-management. Why self-management? The digital, when it goes into full-blown out proportion, there will be no supervision required for anybody and everybody, right? So if you go into manufacturing, so a person will come and has the punches, and he will know where to go. He can start the machine. If he has any problem, then there are all digital tools to help him work. There is no supervision required, right? If you want to go and look at maintenance, there will be guided maintenance possible with the AR/VR. So he does not require supervision. It is something like two very important factors will go. One is clerical and second is supervision. These are the two things which will go. So you have to build this particular working culture in the plant that your people should be able to operate without supervision. That is why the third pillar we call it as self-management. So if on these 3 pillars, if you are able to build the digital thing, that is when you will get the maximum benefits. This is how we follow. So what we have done is that since we have these 3 pillars in place, so we started off looking for how do we start digitization in our plants. It is not that once we came to know we started our connected machines, I think as 2012 was the first one, I think, machine we got into connected machines, where at that point of time we were not even knowing Industry 4.0. It is part of continuous process industry, right? Connected machines. So anyway, for discrete manufacturing, this is for the first time. We started our journey long back. What we found, because we looked at a lot of partners, finally we decided that this is something very new because it has hardware part of it and the software part of it together. You have to have hardware like sensor technology and PLCs and this on one side, whereas on the software on the other side. What we found was that we were not getting the right support who has everything together. And the second part was all processes we wanted to do digitized, right? All processes. That kind of a thing was not available. So hence we went for our own homegrown, a system. We call it as MES system. We call it as Drona in our plants, and we have deployed across our plants. And we basically have deployed, we 5 levers we are using on digital. One is IoT. This is what Drona is going to do for us, and analytics part. Then AR, VR is the second part. Robotics and Cobos. This is something the fourth part, and then you have the last, which is digital, your 3D printing, which is something which we are just observing, and it's not yet come in a big way. I'm sure that it will happen in 10 years time from now. We would have had another big wave in manufacturing where we start in a big way 3D printing. So these are the levers that we have used in manufacturing, and we decided to go process wise. We create the network first. That network is MES system which we have created, and we decided to go process wise. We call it as equipment management. We call it for the equipments. Then we have resource management for the workmen and all personnel. Then we have manufacturing management, and then we have quality management. And we created a sort of modules for each one of them, right? This worked for us, and why this approach? Because this approach helps you to scale up, right? We started our journey maybe about in farm. I'm talking about now. It is about 4 years back. From there to now, all the plants are digitized. You have tremendous impact on all the plants. So you have connected machines. There also we took 80-20 principle overall on cost, and the TPM, like what I said, DPM helped us in such a way that my majority of the plants, we don't have breakdowns, major breakdowns. It's a zero breakdown already, right? So then what more important thing that we did, I think what different I would call it as, that we actually organization structure itself we have restructured when we got into digital, right? Which is a very big thing. While yesterday my maintenance team would work on in every department had maintenance head and maintenance department, and that is all now merged with manufacturing. Now maintenance team is a COE, right? The whole of maintenance team now, today's job is not to attend breakdown. Their job is to enhance the life of the equipment, one part, and the second part is reduce the maintenance cost of the equipment. This is how it is a very different plant now, with the focus on what is digital. And important thing here is it has to be online digital, right? Every aspect of shop floors today is online digital. From my office, I can see a digital twin. I can see who is working at that moment. Any moment I see, I will know who is working, what torque he has applied on the line, and I can then go to the equipment and see the health of the equipment from here. And of course, with that, this data is also, it's a huge data, right? That is getting also collected onto a server at every certain frequency. These all inputs are going to a server through Drona, and the area of now we have gone into an area of analytics part, and we have started into predicting and creating predictive models. And we are now today predicting. We have created models which are for maintenance, breakdown predictions. It is not even breakdown predictions. And then we have gone into line stoppage predictions. We have gone into buffer management, for instance, in supply chain. Supply chain, if I have to tell you, is totally digitized. Totally digitized. Yesterday, my for the suppliers in farm, around 110 buyers would give schedules. Today, there is nobody's giving schedule. It's all coming from the system, right from the order which comes from sales, gets into the system. Everything the system calculates and it optimizes the cost. It is very important thing. All this helps me to do it in a way that I optimize the cost. It gives order to the best plant, which for that particular region, right? So it all does that and optimizes even the supplier distance to the plant. If you have multi-source, it gives automatically the schedule that my logistic cost is optimized. So overall, it is a very different world today in the digital scenario. And to give you some of the results, when I'm talking about connected machines, the maintenance cost with the very first year in 2 of our major plants which we implemented has come down by 50%, 50. So if you see the results, I mean, like Raju Kitkale said, the results and the returns are very, very huge. I mean, it is, and people think that these things are very costly. They are not, right? They are not, but we have to be frugal, right? Similarly, we went for many partners and many partners could not come with us because of the cost. This is very important, that we will always look for returns, right? We will never do as an OEM, there is no return, we don't, we look for somebody who can do that for us. So this is what we do, and we have, it's a very, very different, thing today in manufacturing. I say jokingly to people, till 10 years back, no engineer would want to come to manufacturing, right? Because he always found other areas much more lucrative for him and interesting for him. Now, suddenly with this, you have got this very interesting. Manufacturing has become very interesting and you are able to attract talent. So with that talent, things will move faster also, right? Overall, it is, I think, a very big different thing. I think for the lack of time, I can go on. So I would, I would ask others to answer on this. I mean, for us, it's an experience, and I'm sure that that is the way to go. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Shenoy. So maybe, Mr. Sardana and Mr. Kitkale, in the interest of time, if you can just sum up your experiences, that would be good.
Yeah. First, I would say on the lighter side, actually, the analogy which said fixing the aeroplane while it is in the air. So first of all, the passenger has to be in a confidence that there is no risk actually. Whatever experiment we are doing, there is no risk. Yeah. The moment they are with the anxiety and the fear of the risk, the first they will stop you to. They will not allow you to that. So the most important is taking your people along with you actually. The most important is in a lighter sense, because in the 90s, if you see, similar kind of anxiety was there when the computerization was happening. When a lot of computers were coming. People are scared of that, our jobs will be lost. So if you just imagine, as in today, if the computers were not there, was the life to be so easier as in today? No. Let us forget this pandemic time also. Before the pandemic also, this would not have been possible. So at that time, there was the fear was that it will lose the jobs. So the biggest, the anxiety which I have to take out of the system, that there is nothing is going to lose actually. This is a game of gaining the things actually. This is to bring our organizations, our country working for a bigger canvas actually, where we can print a bigger picture. When we have our Prime Minister saying the Atmanirbhar Bharat, when they saying that we have a possibility for exporting the things. So we have to export the things actually. Normally the cost, competitiveness and the quality has to be brought in actually. So this distillation has to be demonstrated to the people. Yes, this is for tomorrow. This is for the survival and the growth as well. So this confidence first has to be built in, and then comes this is the job of the manager of the aviation actually, who is managing all these aeroplanes. So when one aeroplane is that we can consider this analogy as one of the cell. In one of the cell we are doing the experimentation. So what we did actually in these areas, a four-pronged strategy was there. First was the visioning exercise actually. When the manager of that area, that plant manager, has to envision for the next 5 years what he want to look this as a smart factory, and he can show this vision to the people itself also. So how this can help to the organization as a grow and people as a grow. And then comes what suits to us actually. Like if you see industry 4.0 as well today we talk about, European, the American, all this we are talking about. Japanese has gone one step ahead actually when they say society 5.0, because they have involved the society as well. They say because this will be useful for the society as well and the industry actually. In the industry they have gone with the pyramid actually. If it's the pyramid here, 3 we do actually. The top one is the value creation, IoT for the value creation. Mid is the optimization of the supply chain and across the factory. And the bottom most important is the inclusiveness, for bringing the inclusiveness in the people actually. So we have to talk to the people, and we have done the same thing. Area manager, who is the pilot of that aeroplane, of that cell actually, what are their problems? So till the time they see this as a value adding exercise for ease of themselves actually, they will not accept it actually. The moment we keep doing this distillation push from top to bottom, there would be always resistance. So if we start giving them as a solution for their problems on the bottom, as Mr. Swahney has explained very well about the TPM actually. So that is for bringing the stability, and then after doing the stability, what actually? So this, they have to show the way, yes, this is going to help to solve your problems. So this way, they should be from Gamba to the manufacturing to the enterprise. There should be clear roadmap. And then second is the people capability building. One is the taking anxiety out of the system. Second is the building capability. If as on today our people are not able to maintain the machines to the stable level of operations, in absence of the TPM and all these activities, digitalization is not going to be working in the plants actually. So if you're as on today working on this, the first is the bringing stability in the operations, and then building the capability of the people. May not be directly coming to the implementation solution of the digitalization. We can start with the small trainings and creating a curiosity. Instead of anxiety, we should be starting with the curiosity creation among the people. Yes, this is going to be fun at the workplace. People should be designing the things. It's not that we should be taking the trunky project or some digitalization solution from one of the solution provided and start integrating the line. Okay, you have to operate from tomorrow. Rather, people should be coming up with the ideas. This is what we are looking for actually. These are the screens actually we are looking for. These are the predictions we are looking for the machines. These are my problems. So that way, from bottom up approach and the top down, both are taken in a proportionate way, it will be helpful. And third is the how to adopt the technology, which is the exact is the question is the when the this is the already in the airplane, because factory is running. If you talk about two-wheeler manufacturer, 18 seconds, one line is running, assembly lines. If you talk about, we produce motorcycle every 1 second across our operation. So at this point in time, it is very risky. Something goes wrong actually. So at that time, we have to take the 5 steps actually. First the connect. Second is the monitor. Then comes the analyze. Then comes the predict, and then comes the optimize. So directly, if we're going ahead with a full level of full-blown digitalization, we may get failed in some way. Connecting and monitoring comes to the level of digitization actually. So we have digitized all of the data. Availability of information on the real-time basis is always on the screens. People are able to use. Then we can say now the human intelligence can be taken out from the system. The system itself, data is talking to machine, data is talking to data, and data itself is analyzing what is going to predict, what is coming in the near future. So that comes the part of digitalization, when data starts talking to data. Starting a digitization, going to the digitalization. And then system will start in doing the optimization by which we can improve upon the productivity, cost, and the all quality parameters we can increase. So there should be a strategy in place actually. If we start with a very high level of optimistic target we kept, okay, we are going full blown optimism, certainly the people will be in the anxiety also, business also will be in somewhere in the question mark. And then comes the last comes the fourth point I would say, as a society actually, what we can do from each other actually. So people should be involved, industry should be collaborating, and other side like the people you are taking this initiative, bringing us all together on the platform, the solution providers actually. So if as a society we collaborate actually, learn from each other, then we can go ahead. Long back Japan has given 7 QC tools. They made as a movement across the country actually. The people should be involved in the problem solving and the area issues actually. Today Japan has given the 7 IoT tools itself, 5 visualization themes of the workplace. So the whole society is given a standardized themes, standardized tools have been given. It's excellent 7 IoT tools. When they talk about IoT, first tool is about the location, when you have to trace something on the location, then operation, then comes the situation, count, hazard, availability, quality. This way they have categorized into the 7 actually. And they have done the visualization. So this subject is, as a person who is close to my heart, that I could study all these things as trying to experiment it actually, experience these things. The moment we experiment these things, get some experience, that becomes important that we should demonstrate to our people. The moment we demonstrate to the people, people have a confidence and the conviction. Then the pilot also will be having a confidence and the conviction. Yes, you engineers, please keep on doing. I am also safe. I have a confidence. Whatever you're doing, it is okay. And the people also, in the form of passengers who are on the board actually, they also have the confidence. Yes, you're doing something good for their future. That's what my take on actually is what we are trying to experiment and trying to implement in our plants as well. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Very nicely put in, sir. So, Mr. Ketkale, very brief.
Yeah, I think everything is covered. Very, Mr. Chennai and Mr. Rana, I think they are covered 100%. Only 2-3 aspects I'll just try to say, which especially for the participant point of view, because I work with the supplier. So, see, what is very important now, when I was, we are doing project in Japan plant and also here, also in Thailand plant. What is one of the strength of India is so cost of technology. It's quite reasonable, very competitive. I think this is something very, very important. I think everybody should go for the digitalization. This is one big advantage which we have. Second, also ability of the people. I think that is also very important. So India, fortunately, have very high talent in this area, for digitalization area. So whole world we are supporting, and why not then to us only? We have backyard Infosys and so many companies here. So how to utilize these people? And that is another strength. I'll just give an example. I did there are some projects we did commonly run in Japan, and this my cost of project was just 20% of Japan cost. Same, maybe better quality of my project. So this is something I think big strength. But especially for the suppliers, what is very important now? Are you ready for this kind of transformation? Your facility is ready. Your people are ready. I think that is the first aspect management should look very deeply. And then based on that, they should decide. And as always I say, ROI, return of investment is very key. Whether it's supplier or is a big company like us, doesn't matter. I think that is my only advice to everyone. So thank you very much. I think this is fantastic. Everything they covered, so I no need to repeat anything. Thank you very much.
Right. So I see Hafiz on air now. So Hafiz, how are you doing in terms of time? Do we have time to take one last question?
I'm saying, Aditya, we are running really late. So if you can have maybe a last question to Ajit Deshpande, if you're going.
So Mr. Deshpande, one last question, and we would request you to give us a brief answer for that. So that is, how do you see that, when in future, when the plants come? So what are your plans of implementing digitalization in the factory of future, or rather I should say, how do you envision the factory of future?
In a short answer, I will say the future digitization will come in 3 Ds. One is the data. So how we will capture data, the dull part, which is what are those processes which are repetitive in nature, which can be digitized with the help of AR, VR, and because we were prepared for some type of a disaster and we are now forcing some other disasters. So how the social distancing, how the automation without compromising on the health and safety of the people. So I was talking about data, dullness, and the disaster. The factories who can handle these 3 will be the future factories.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Deshpande. And Hafiz, over to you.
Thank you very much, Aditya. In fact, very insightful and very insightful conversation. And thank you very much, every panel members, to share your perspective. With this, we move to our next presentation by Williams Server. He's Senior Global Industry Consultant, Automotive and Tire, Rockwell Automation. He will be giving his insights on automotive smart manufacturing vision. Williams is a 39-year-old veteran. 39 years as a veteran on automotive industry. Has worked across multiple functional, discipline, and regions. Bill's insightful perspective are drawn from his unique background and experience of having worked throughout the entire manufacturing value chain of vehicle and powertrain manufacturing, component manufacturing, machine building, automation, OEM and supply chain distribution. He has focused expertise in the application of MOS system, smart manufacturing industry 4.0, automation and technology and manufacturing process within assembly, stamping, print and EVB. Over to you, Bill.
Yeah, thank you, Hafiz. I appreciate that. I'm going to share my screen. So I very much enjoyed the panel discussions and the information shared. And one of the things that stood out to me is the information and the research that and the work that Rockwell has done working globally and researching what is going on in the industry globally, the automotive industry and the supply chain. It has been very encouraging to see the movement in the direction in India is aligned with what is happening with what is happening globally right now. So this is what I'm going to try to give you an idea because about where Rockwell's mind is and where we're headed in this space. Many people still think of Rockwell as the PLC company. A number of the automotives in India also realize that we have been strong in an early adopter in the platform manufacturing integration and manufacturing execution or manufacturing operations management systems. But what many people don't understand is the direction and the pace at which Rockwell has been moving into the complete end-to-end digital thread part of the business. And our whole part of the software side is agnostic. And that's what I want to bring up. So I just want to share with you some insights with what's happening in the industry and where we're headed as Rockwell. Thank you. So to start with, I just like to also add that there's a number of drivers. There's some master drivers of the industry driving the direction companies are moving, the direction the industry is moving that we all know about. The electric, moving into EV, moving into autonomous technologies, increasing the refresh rate or shortening the refresh time of your vehicles to make sure that they're fresh and the designs are what customers are desiring and to show some differentiation in the marketplace to sell your product out in the marketplace. And then it's also around the multiple variations or options and variants that customers are asking for. You know, the heavy commercial vehicle industry has been great because they've been having to adopt this idea from day one, that, you know, the whole idea of lot size of one. But this is now hitting into, particularly in the EV side of the business and the rest of the traditional or legacy automotive business in trying to suit their vehicles to meet the customer's demands and wants. And then it's about, you know, during the whole expanded connected car, how do I create these products, move them, develop them quicker, develop them faster, validate faster. These are all the ideas that we heard during the discussion panels. So we agree. The whole idea about streamlining business and manufacturing processes, seamlessly integrating the supply chain, improving overall quality and speed and accuracy when we are able to have that seamless integration, improving overall efficiency, reducing downtime, being able to get my equipment, predict when it's going down, being able to repair it faster or when I have opportunity to repair. Adjusting my lines to having flexible manufacturing assembly lines that can adjust and adapt to varying schedules and product requirements and changing product requirements or new designs, right? So enabling and having that agility of the entire manufacturing process is exactly what customers are asking for and what the industry is driving towards. So this whole idea of Industry 4.0 in automotive. One of the panelists said that in the design world, automotive has been there for a decade. It's actually been there longer than that. Automotive led the whole integrated digital design world 25 years ago, right? And started actually even 30 years ago. With it to where it is today. So the industry in the world of manufacturing was led by automotive. But but with that said, there's a whole idea about digital transformation that's out there, and I look at this and we say smart manufacturing, right? It's a three-legged stool. It's a design stool leg, it's a manufacturing, and an enterprise leg, right? So but all three have to work together. But I have to say, people talk about digital transformation, but they still maintain much of the work in each of these areas as silos. They do share information between them for manufacturing, but in general, they still remain in silos. The whole idea of digitalization is about removing paper and bringing data into the world to be able to do some reporting, analytics, get more real-time information. But still, these silos remain. And the whole idea of design, right, from an engineering bill of material and development, and have to create a manufacturing bill of material that gets transferred into the ERP systems, into the enterprise world, for planning, for supply chain management and scheduling and coordination, right? That remains, and that's where it works today, right? And then from once the enterprise information has that, they share and you integrate the manufacturing bill of material, the schedule, the orders, the inventory, right? All get moved into the manufacturing world, right? And so then they know how to manufacture and when I can manufacture it. And then what they do is the manufacturing floor reports back. What's my process status? What's my quality data? What is happening on my floor? And there's daily reports, shift-wise reports, month-wise reports to help my scheduling and planning team, my quality team, right? So all of this is helpful and is done great to advance our causes. Right, and then if you look on the outside of the wheel here, right, is the varying use cases areas, right? So the customers are trying to solve into machine health and maintenance, into machine and conveyance performance optimization, quality optimization, process and material flow optimization, IT/OT connectivity improvements, right? How to make that better and simpler. Operator efficiency and automation, how to improve what your operators are doing and how they're working and how your people are working on the plant floor. And health and safety, how to improve health and safety without affecting performance, actually improving performance, which has been proven globally, right? So customers are trying to achieve this digital thread, but maintaining still a digital silo in these three different categories. So the way what we as Rockwell would like to say is, okay, let's take what we would call, manufacturing 2.0 and 3.0 and move it into 4.0 and even 5.0, and where we're heading. What's the imagination? Where do you see your company on your journey, and what's really holding you back? I heard comments and there's questions along the way here today about, well, how do I know what's right and where to invest, right? What's the expense? What's the ROI? Where should be my focus? These are questions that all manufacturers, particularly in automotive globally, have been asking for some time, but they take a different approach, right? So they want to move from the siloed applications of product design, plant operations, supply chain, and enterprise, right? And they want to move these things into real-time analysis to making predictive decisions or prescriptive diagnosis and guidance to the different people with what's happening, right? So the whole idea is to integrate all of this together, right? So seamlessly, so these can happen quickly. So I don't have to wait for a day shift or weekly type report to do hindsight analysis. I want to do upfront real-time analysis and work, and this is happening today globally, right? So where that whole original transitional wheel of digital transformation and where these different three-legged stools and three areas of design, manufacturing, and enterprise sit. The new tools and digital tools out there are blurring these lines and bringing and finally integrating all of the three areas together. So now design and CAD don't reside on their own, right? They are completely integrated now into the manufacturing world. And then you have the enterprise world and you have IoT platforms that now integrate the entire manufacturing and enterprise data stack, right? And so whether if I'm going to be developing, doing analytics and developing machine learning at an enterprise level or AI, you need the data to be able to learn and be able to do this, right? So the IoT platform is what allows this to happen, allows these different systems to integrate. And now you bring in digital twin, and everyone talks about digital twin, but most people talk about simulation, but there's a difference between simulation and emulation. And the emulation is the true, most accurate form of simulation because you're using the true data manufacturing data versus simulated models or developed models to be able to do the simulation with, right? So that's a huge difference in being able to use real data, real systems, real code to be able to do these tests, to validate, as one of the moderators or panelists said earlier, to validate your designs before you make them. And the whole idea. So now what's changing is this data flow on the plant floor. So now the PLM, the MBOM, right, now flows directly onto the manufacturing floor into the MES platform. But now it's more, though, than just the MBOM. It's now development of the work instructions for the person through manufacturing process planning on the design world and your actual routing, because the whole idea of dynamic routing and sequencing for agility on the plant floor and to be able to adopt new manufacturing process ideas. And so what I coin this as smart multi-dimensional manufacturing. So it's not just about 3D manufacturing, it could be additive manufacturing, but it can also be multi-dimensional AGV or independent cart type manufacturing where I have to manage, control, and change the location of my world. So now no longer I change my manufacturing paradigm 180 degrees. So instead of bringing a product into an operation where I bring people, tools, and material already exist, I bring material, tools, and people and material to the product somewhere on your plant floor, right? So so if you want ultimate flexibility and agility, this is the whole idea and concept. So you need to have this completely integrated, seamlessly enterprise of design, manufacturing, and enterprise to be able to do this. So now the enterprise is only to the manufacturing floor is only providing orders and inventory. The rest of the design and this agility to be able to adapt and change comes from being directly integrated to the PLM systems and CAD systems, right? And now the data off the plant floor gets amplified to now also include the automation and equipment metadata and the whole idea of creating a unified data model to make it easier to integrate to a data lake or to my IoT database or to whatever my systems to do analysis with. Because that analysis is what's used to do continuous improvement process, right? To always validate that. But now there's a change also going on into this model, and it's this, right? So the change is now there's new manufacturing concepts and manufacturing assembly concepts. That's driving the change and the move of data that was once in the enterprise. And I'll call this, and this is me as from Bill Sarver point of view, I call it scheduling data. So I have scheduling, I have logistics, I have warehousing data, and is moving the concepts are moving that out of the enterprise and moving it into the manufacturing world. Why? Because they are eliminating warehouses in the plants and warehouses in the facilities, and to try to streamline the supply chain directly to the line. So instead of having inventory show up on a dock that gets put away, that gets selected on a Kanban call out to the line, the whole idea is to understand what's being built very quickly, understand, adjust to a change, or to be able to build a new vehicle and be able to have the line or a kitted set of material directly delivered to the line versus a receiving dock somewhere that goes back into warehouse. So to be able to do that dynamic scheduling and logistics planning and direct line side delivery, this is what's changing the need for the manufacturing side to take on even more responsibility. The data flow still remains the same as the previous model, but this is a shift in manufacturing concepts that's going on in this smart multi-dimensional manufacturing, as I call that, right? So the whole idea is about flexibility. So today we have a PLC system and we have coding, and your manufacturing engineering does that. So I agree with one of the other panelists saying that there's a redesign of your organization needs to take place for your people and your organization to be able to adopt these concepts. You can't have the silos anymore. You have to have an organization that is quick, nimble, and fully cross-functional to be able to adopt these new concepts, right? So now the whole idea of making these process changes and doing my planning of my line, and as soon as I make a change, have that adjusted and implemented directly on the plant floor to make that change, and then be able to emulate that process and validate that new process change before I actually implement it on the plant floor is vitally important. And this work is going on today, right? So we have customers, Rockwell, that are doing this, right? So from Rockwell, it doesn't make a difference in our world on whatever CAD, PLM system, control system, other systems out there. We have to be completely agnostic to be able to adapt and support all customers through this process, and we are, right? So the whole idea is to accelerate the time to value and the time to quality. So people ask the question, well, where's my ROI? Well, you don't work on any of these analytics cases and Industry 4.0 concepts without a business value to it. So the successful people in the industry who are doing this are the ones who have spent the time building the business cases, understanding them, and actually putting a business value to each of these use cases, and then working on the ones with the most value, because what they're doing is they're leveraging the value obtained by the implementation of these, and then that is self-funding all of the rest of the work that moves forward as time comes. So the whole idea of doing this digitally and virtually is about establishing a foundation for operational analytics in the virtual world to do my testing of and line reconfiguration up front, to be able to cut my commissioning time in half, right, to protect all of my existing investments that I have out there, to bring everything into the fold, as other people had concerns about earlier in this discussion, and to actually improve my efficiency, right? So this is all Rockwell tools doing this using again, we don't own a CAD or PLM solution, so our solutions work with any CAD and PLM system, but we integrate it to be able to do this virtually and to do my testing and validation virtually. Right, so that's what you're seeing here. This is a Rockwell's own contactor assembly line that was validated and put together virtually to build all different types of contactors ourselves. Now we're doing this with our automotive customers as well, right? But we also use these tools virtually to validate the process to make sure my process moves are improved. Now, some of these concepts are not new to automotive. As I said, they've been doing these for years. But one of the things we have seen is we did an analysis and looked at things globally. So what we found is, the number one area that customers are using IoT is by 50%, it's visualization, process visualization. Number two is they want to work on some predictive maintenance application. But where are they spending their money? Where are they placing their bets? They're placing their bets on conveyance, because conveyance has the most loss productive cost to all automotive customers. That's where most customers lose their revenue, and their profit is downtime caused on any type of conveyance. So the entire industry is focused on trying to figure out where they can develop the best predictive maintenance on all types of conveyor applications, or to try to redesign, new systems and processes to eliminate some of the issues, right? The next one is doing throughput analysis. Customers are focused on doing throughput analysis to find the bottlenecks in their manufacturing process as well as the material flow. And then there was a question about quality, and I can tell you that every automotive customer has initiatives around quality to improve quality. Because if you can improve the quality first time, you don't have extra cost in your manufacturing process, and you have better results to your end customers, right? And then augmented realities are being used in product development as well as to improve MTTRs, as one of the panelists also said. But ultimately, it's the goal of every automotive customer is to have this complete digital thread throughout their entire organization, and they're taking all of these steps to get there, right? So you may not know that Rockwell is a complete end-to-end supplier now of both services, tools, and experience, right, to be able to do this. And we help customers going through a digital thread value workshop to help them create their digital thread roadmap and to really do an assessment on the readiness to be able to implement all of the ideas that they're trying to achieve, or understand and help them develop their vision. So we have this ability, and most of our customers don't realize all of what Rockwell has done in the last 5 years, being able to do this and provide this ability to customers. So to be able to, from the product side, the partnerships and the acquisitions that Rockwell has made into PTC, into the purchase of Emulate 3D, the purchase of ANSYS and their digital modeling technology capability and digital twinning capabilities, the advent of Thin Manager and integration of web-based solution of integration on the plant floor of multiple legacy systems, to delivering more functionality and capability with the purchase of MES Tech and Maverick, and now Calypso in the whole consulting and digital optimization side of things, and digital design specialization, and then into the security and the rest of the consulting partnerships that Rockwell's provided. So we leverage all of that as an ecosystem because no one company can do everything anymore. So essentially what we're asking is, hey, let's work with Rockwell, make Rockwell your partner in this digital journey. We have the full end-to-end capability now to support with the best-in-class tools in many areas, from IoT, from MES, from PLM integration, from simulation, from virtual commissioning. Rockwell now has the best-in-class tools in the industry that we can now leverage and integrate in a solution. So we're asking for your support, and we want to thank you for your support thus far, and I want to thank you for your time. Is there any digital initiatives across your company? So again, this is the same as it was with Sabi, as you have about 30 seconds to reply, and then we'll get the results and go on to another questions. We appreciate your time and answering this. It certainly helps us to help you. So 74% of the customers say they have a digital initiative going. That's fantastic and not surprising. Let's go to the next polling question. Do you need detailed and specific discussions or presentation on DCM, MES, IIoT, or nothing at all? By the way, I certainly appreciate everyone's time and staying on with us for a little extra time. So definitely have a desire, people have a desire to talk about IIoT and analytics and optimization or machine learning and AI. So that's great. Any plan of a brownfield expansion? I think the biggest thing that people find right now is they want optimization. So there's brownfield. There's always work going on in an automotive plant. The whole idea is I think right now, and particularly because of COVID and what's driven is, I need to help in identifying how I can optimize and where I can optimize my process. So let's see if I thought there was one more polling question. Yes, there is. Do you have any initiative about IIoT or analytics already in your organization? Yep, great. So there again, this is not a surprise. Definitely people want to do more in this space, and we thank you, and we're here to help. So Hafiz is...
Bill, thank you very much.
We got
We
another
really
one.
appreciate
Would you like further contact by RA? I hope this one's 100%. One final question. List the top 3 issues that must be addressed to make your enterprise facility future ready. Those are all real concerns, but you're looking for your top 3. I don't know about India. I haven't paid attention, but there was a number of automotives were hit with the latest ransomware again. I know one of our customers major automotive customers have been hit twice in the last 3 years. Okay, real-time analysis, end-to-end traceability and productivity are the leading responses. Very good. We appreciate that feedback, everyone. And we'll certainly look forward to meeting with you more and having further discussions to let you know where we can work with you to help you. So, Hafiz, was there any other questions? I just want to make sure we got the polling in first.
If I can ask last question to you.
Mm-hmm.
You've been you connected to us from US. What are the major challenges implementing digital technologies in India compared to your country or the international market?
Well, the largest one, again, I lived in India and worked in India for 8 years, for those of you who may not know me. The largest challenge in India has always been the cost of investment, right? Everyone looks at a first-time cost too much so versus the value out of it. So I think the biggest challenge in India is getting the organization. I think some customers have already made their decision to understand that there's a huge value can be obtained with a little cost up front. The global industry has already made that decision long ago, right? So, and I think there's always too much evaluation on cost competitiveness on some of this versus the value getting out of it. So, which is why I stated the effort that most people who are successful in this space have spent the time analyzing the use cases, understanding the use cases, what investment you're willing to make, right? And then it's up to us as a supplier or any supplier to make sure we support that.
Thank you, William. Thank you, Hafiz. I think we had a fabulous discussion over the operations panel as well as the plant head panel. So let me sum it up for today's session. The panel 1, which was gaining advantages in the digital realm. We had a fabulous discussion on that, and everybody put their perspective, right from Mr. Dayal to Mr. Chulanga, Ms. Aditi and Mr. Dilip. And then we had the presentation from Sabyasachi Goswami, who was more on the robust, secure, scalable information IT infrastructure. He gave more emphasis on the digitalization, OT managed services. The second panel, which was on the plant head, moving with the digital footprint. I think I saw quite a good excitement with our panelists today, who are the respective heads in their own departments. And they were quite excited, which they have already, opted the digitalization in their respective plants. And they are looking forward to have some more IoT based implementation in their respective plants. It was in fact quite a eye opener, and I think our moderator for that session, Aditi, had a big day in getting all his questions answered, and audience also had a few of the very critical questions which they used to pose, though we got a lot many questions, but we managed to pick up some 3 to 4 odd questions for the today's session. It was quite excited, and overall we took a lot of learning, lot of takeaway from today's both the sessions, and I'm sure audience were also quite excited to learn a lot of things about the digitalization, IT, IoT optimization, and making their plant a smart factory with implementation of new solutions what Rockwell had in place. Both the presenters, Sabyasachi and Williams, presentations were very interesting. I'm sure they will have a lot of questions in the days to come from our audience, and today also a lot of questions are there which we are going to share with them. And I should thank each and every one of you. This session recording will be available on our Manufacturing Today YouTube channel in a few days from now. And we are also excited to say that we will be having next very important supply chain and warehousing webinar session with Rockwell Automation in the second week of August, which we will share the details with you and the registration links. And please do come join us for that interesting supply chain and warehousing webinar. And we take once again a big thank you for all the panelists, for all the speakers, my backend team, our audience, for making this virtual summit a success. Lot of learnings, lot of takeaways. We will look forward to meet you once again. Once again, thank you very much, and all the best. Please take care of your health first. Thank you.